Okay, now that the time is 5 o'clock, I invite you to come to stillness in your resting pose. So I invite you to be on your back. And if you want your head on a pillow, if you want your legs out long, or maybe more of a straddle or even butterfly, feet together, knees apart. Your arms could be at your sides, out at a T, overhead. You might snow angel for a moment till you find a resting place for them. Let's start immediately noticing the breath. So watch how it flows just for today without changing it, without intentionally slowing it down. What's your baseline? We check in with that baseline first so that we can notice if we make a change, if there's a difference. That's a change we might invite after this hour as well. Okay, so your baseline, does anything rise and fall? Do you feel breath in nose or mouth? Whatever it is, that's fine. I invite you, if you're not feeling the breath all the way down in the belly, to let your breath get more expansive. Perhaps belly rises and belly falls. Maybe chest rises and falls. If it serves as a reminder or just is soothing, you might press hand onto chest, belly, or both. Mouth can be open or closed. Maybe even create a little texture at the back of your throat, like you're fogging up a window as you breathe. See if that breath pattern evokes any changes for you mentally, physically, emotionally. If it does and those changes are positive, continue. If it invites any changes that feel a little bit negative, either decide, will I settle into this and see what happens, or do I want to change my breath pattern or my body arrangement? As you breathe, let's notice the eyes, whether eyes are open or closed. Identify any light sources that you have in the room. So is there more glow on the backs of your eyelids, or if you're looking, where is the most light source? Where are the smaller light sources? Maybe it's a TV or computer screen, a candle. Just using this to practice our observation and orienting to our immediate physical space. Just narrowing our focus. So I've got windows, lights, candles, the reflection off my lighter walls, lighter furniture. And then do a brief body scan, just gently skimming the attention from the toes up through each of the joints, big muscle groups, major areas of the body, up to the crown of your head. Notice, where's the tightness today? Where's the comfort today? What feels just neutral today? I'm going to keep my head propped up on pillows as I lie down, just so I can keep my head oriented to you. Let's start with just a little bit of movement here. So from rest, bring both feet onto the floor, knees to the ceiling. We're going to find eagle pose in our legs for a twisting vine. Cross right knee over left. You can stay right here, or you can let your knees drop over to the right side. So that top ankle guides the thigh down. Now, if you're like me and the legs are not touching the floor, a block or pillow, cardboard box, something might help get the floor up to you. Now take the left arm, reach it up overhead. This is the vine part. We've got the twist in the bottom, the vine growing at the top. I invite you to move your arm. So maybe it rises, maybe it slides along the floor. Just a bit of mobility in the shoulders. Your right arm can be down at the side, even out to a T. You might also find just a little bit of movement in the legs. Maybe coming out, going back in. Just a bit of warmth in the body. And waking up some physical sensations that we might not have felt recently in the body. Okay, let's come back to center. So left arm comes down to the side, legs come back up through center. We'll uncross, switch sides. Left knee crosses over right. You can stay right here, or let the knees drop to the left. Again, option for pillows, blocks, blankets to bring the floor up to you. And then right arm rises overhead, maybe comes out to a T, maybe floats directly up towards the ceiling and back. So in your twisted vine, you decide how much the wind is giving you a little bit of movement. Okay, let's come back to center, arms to the side, legs up. And then as you come back to neutral, bring knees to chest, rock a little side to side, massage the low back. Keep breathing fully. That intentional breath, the breath that says, I'm choosing my experience. I'm not just caught up in what the world is throwing at me. Okay, roll to either side, a brief fetal pose, resting, head on biceps. Let the body get heavy, 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 heavy. Notice if there's tension in shoulders, if they're squeezed up towards ears. You might roll them back, slide them down, shoulder blades get a little closer together. Notice if you're clenching anywhere in the legs. Can you release and let gravity hold you here? In each of our poses, you get to decide, do you want to find movement or find stillness? And I invite you to practice each of those things. Sometimes stillness, sometimes a little movement. Okay, from fetal pose, we're going to our belly actually. So rolling directly onto the belly. If you prefer not to be on the belly, tabletop will work just fine. And you can move through cat and cow. If you're on your belly, let's take a baby cobra pose. Hands under shoulders, little to no weight in the hands. Lift the chest, legs are down. Tops of feet are on the mat. Just a little low back extension, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Just a few breaths. Notice if this brings energy into the body or helps release energy. And then from our baby cobra, we'll press to child's pose. Pressing into the hands, lifting the hips, bringing toes towards each other. Now we're not going to stay in child's pose, so you don't need to get too many props out. You have an option here to flow through child's pose to an up dog. So just following the breath. Inhale, shifting forward, coming in front of the knees, lifting the feet, a soft bend in the elbows, and then shifting back, child's pose. Slow and steady inhales. And if this doesn't feel good on elbows, wrists, knees, whatever, skip it. You could also come to tabletop and take cow pose. So this will give you a similar spinal extension. Okay, just a couple more. Child's pose to up dog, or child's pose to cow pose. Again, a little squeeze of the shoulder blades, expansion of the chest. And then we'll come to tabletop, neutralizing the spine, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's thread the needle. Inhale, reach the right fingertips high. And exhale, hand behind the right wrist, or left wrist, excuse me. Shoulder and cheek towards the ground, or towards something that brings the ground closer to you. Your choice. If left arm reaches straight out, wraps behind the low back. Your choice if hips are high or back more like a child's pose. If you want more sensation in the shoulder, really reach that right arm, twisting. You can even press more into the ground to rotate the chest. Because we're in a restorative practice, I do invite you to let gravity do the work here. So if you find yourself really pushing, efforting into this position, give yourself at least a few breaths to hold with minimal effort. We'll stay here a little longer today, a little more attention on the shoulders. Maybe reaching that right arm a little further, or even pulling back. You might come up with a different sensation that also feels useful or even better for you. Okay, we'll start to unwind. Bring your left arm back, hand under shoulder, unwind. You can take a few big arm circles if you'd like. Circling the wrist as well. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale, left arm reaches, and then threads through. And if for any reason belly down just makes the breath harder, just doesn't feel good for you, we can do this seated as well. Arm across. I'll continue to encourage you throughout our class today to find the option that serves you best. And why I like to do that is because there's so much that we experience that we don't have so much choice in. And I don't need to enumerate and list those things from the past year of what that is. But in our practice, in our yoga practice, we get to decide when to breathe, when to rest, how to orient our body. We can start to decide what thoughts we let pass through, what thoughts we let stay. So we'll keep looking for agency because we have it here. And because what's restful for you or what you're seeking is not necessarily what other people are seeking. A few more breaths here in this thread the needle pose. Then go ahead and bring that right hand back under the shoulder. Inhale to unthread when you're ready. You can reach the arm up, circle the arm a few times. Circle the wrists. And then come back for an easy seat on your mat. Come to your easy seat. It might be sitting on a block or a pillow if that feels good. Just notice if you have a tendency to shift way forward or lean back. See if you can find the middle of your sit bones. Let's take a few breaths to roll the shoulders into ears. Inhale, shoulders into ears. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, shoulders into ears. Exhale, back and down. Last time. Shoulders into ears. And exhale, back and down with that long neck. Let's circle. Exhales to the chest and inhales. Guide the head back. Option to hold on one side. Bring that arm up and over. Gentle pressure from the palm onto the head. Giving the stretch on that side of the neck. As you move, just notice if your shoulders have started to round, if your chest has started to slump a little bit. Keep that spine nice, long, neutral, chest broad. Take just a few more breaths to move head and neck. You might even bring head back to center. Turn the head to either side so chin is over opposite shoulder. Very good. Okay, head back to center. Let's bring our arms up and overhead and then bring the palms back behind us, fingertips forward. If that doesn't feel so good, hands can stay on thighs and you can draw shoulder blades together, expand the chest. If this feels good, shift your weight back, lift the chest, bring weight more onto the heels of the hands and spreading onto the fingertips too. You are welcome to hold here, shoulder blades squeezing together. You can also flow forward and back, almost like a seated cat and cow pose. Where you would exhale, you could fold forward, really make an exaggerated fold. And inhale, bring the arms back, fingertips forward, shift the weight. So again, you decide, do you want a little bit of stillness here in this chest expansion? Do you want a little bit of movement? If you're here and you want to lift the hips a little, that's an option too. Just be mindful of your elbows. Prevent them from locking entirely. Know that this can bring up a lot of sensation. If you think about if we do camel pose, it can bring up a lot. So there's no obligation to stay. Take a few more breaths. Again, folding and reaching if you'd like. And then come on back to center. Hands on thighs, just take a beat to pause. See what that might have kicked up for you. Those heart lifting poses can be more energizing. So just notice, has your heart rate shifted? Has your breath shifted? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, just want to pause here to give a little self hug. You can do this in a couple ways. You can simply wrap your arms around your body. This is meant to be a soothing posture. It could help as just a little bit of a come down from that chest expansion. If you want a little bit more shoulder work, you can make this into eagle arms, but I still invite you to hold hands to shoulders and make it a little bit more of a hug. Those that are interested in eagle arms, we will have another chance to do those during our class today. Let's see if you can pause here in whatever hug that you've chosen, even if it's crossing hands over chest. And see if you can pick up on this kind of soothing energy, this compassion towards self. Our hour of yoga practice helps us reorient to the self so that we can care for both us and for others. But this is a brief movement that you can do in your car, at your desk. You know, you don't need a whole hour to bring it back to just a little bit of care for self. And this kind of a brief hug or compassionate touch can offer that. If you haven't switched sides and would like to, please do. We'll just be here for another moment. If you've got those eagle arms, or if you've got a hug that you're now feeling a little bit unbalanced. And another option here is to give a little self-massage, rubbing the shoulders, rubbing the neck, so squeezing the thick parts of the muscle. You can also do the same thing on the neck, just grabbing the back of the neck, maybe at the base of the spine, or excuse me, base of the hairline. Another just kind of a soothing acknowledgement of self. You're here. You don't even need to decide you're doing great, you're doing fine, you're doing okay. Just you're here. You deserve some care and compassion and just a gentle acknowledgement. Okay. Finish whatever soothing, comforting touch you decided. And go ahead and bring your hands back to your thighs. Now for these next three poses, you have a choice if you'd like to do them standing or do them seated. We're going to do a long leg forward fold, a butterfly pose or a yogi squat, and then a wide leg forward fold, and that can be standing as well. And you are welcome to mix and match, some standing, some seated. Okay, so if you're taking it seated, you can stretch your legs out directly in front of you, long leg. This is caterpillar Forward fold. You're welcome to bring a towel or a blanket or pillows under the knees. The legs don't need to be straight. Get yourself lots of support so that you can be in a comfortable forward fold. And you need not fold too far. Just go as much as comfortable. If you'd like to take this standing, shift forward, we'll move from tabletop to a standing forward fold. So feet are about hip width distance apart. We will do a wide-legged forward fold in a bit. So for this one, about hip width distance. Softness in the knees. If not a big bend, you're welcome for a big bend too. Option to interlace hands. Option, again, for more shoulder stuff, to take a chest expansion, interlace hands. Let them shift forward. If you have a strap or you want to use a towel in that way, that might be nice. For me, interlacing hands, that's a lot for my shoulders, but I could hold a towel on either side and then my arms come forward. That feels pretty nice. And the same thing can be done in that seated forward fold caterpillar pose. I could take my towel. If I was in this orientation, I'd reach my arms back. Feeling an expansion here. So breathing wherever you are. Folding as much as you'd like. Movement or stillness. Okay, standing forward folds. Your next move is to a yogi squat. So heels turn in, toes turn out. Hips drop towards between the heels. Now you can stay right here, or you can bring blocks, pillows, boxes, something under you. Notice if there's a tendency to hunch forward, to just try to barely hang on. Expand the chest, expand the chest. Elbows on thighs can help open it up. If it still feels really pretty congested, I invite you to come to butterfly pose instead. If you're seated in the forward fold, bring the soles of the feet together. Butterfly pose, again, also called cobbler pose. Bring stuff so that the ground comes to you. Okay, this is another place where you might add an eagle arm. So scooping elbows under each other. Yogi squat, that's a little bit of a balance challenge. There's no obligation to do that. Yogi squat, you're welcome to shift back to a forward fold if you're feeling like I've had enough here. If you're feeling like I've had enough here, I invite you to take at least one more breath to see, is this a sensation I can sit with, I can be present to, I can accept? It doesn't have to be. But for some of us, I'm one of these people, our first reaction is to flee something that feels difficult or uncomfortable or different, or this could be a place to practice. Just sticking with something that feels a little different. We also can have a tendency to want to flee when something feels quote unquote too easy. So as I sit in my cobbler pose, I feel quite comfortable, quite at ease. And it kicks up this idea that, oh, I should probably move to a yogi squat. I'd have a harder time breathing there, so it would be better. I'd be doing more work. No, the work is in any expression that you choose. Okay, yogi squat. Your release is back to a forward fold. And in this forward fold, I invite you to step your feet out wide, more than hip width distance. Take a wide-legged forward fold. If you're in cobbler or butterfly pose, taking the legs out to a straddle as wide as you'd like. And again, straight legs are not the priority you're working towards, but get some stuff under the knees to support you. If you happen to be by a wall, I could have said this for yogi squat too. If you're by a wall or a piece of furniture and kind of want to bump up against the back for some support, that could feel nice as well. Whether you're in a straddle or a standing forward fold, again, you might want to play with arms, shoulders. A strap or towel can give you a little bit more space, a little bit more mobility. To get arms back, or let arms fall forward overhead if you're standing. Again, stillness or movement. You might like moving a little side to side, bend and lengthening the legs. Same thing is true with the seated straddle. You might want to fold your body towards one leg or the other leg. Bend the knees, lengthen the legs. Beautiful. It's all yoga. If you are uniting your thoughts, your breath, and the movements of your body, you're doing it, and the expression is looking different than other people's. I have to remind myself that same thing with family, at work, with friends, that we could all have a similar goal, but it's looking different ways, and ways that I might not prefer or choose for myself, and yet it can still be just as valuable, just as worthy, even though it's a different approach. Okay, if you're in your standing forward fold, bring feet together. Come on down to tabletop pose, then meet us seated. You can come to this straddle and then take your right foot and put it inside of your left thigh. We're setting up deer pose now. If you like to rest on your side, bring a couple pillows over to the right side at your hip. You can always move these around later. Okay, then we're going to bring our left leg, swing it back, create a pinwheel shape with our legs. Both hips, both sit bones should be down. So if you've got a lift here like I do, you need something. Put a towel under there. Okay, many options with deer pose directly out to the side. Might be a favorite of yours. Resting on the side body. Top shoulder, just keeping it slightly rolled back. You might also like more of a forward fold, so coming directly forward into a fold, or out a little bit more diagonal into a fold, or even a twisting fold, twisting over to your right side, folding forward there. And if you're like me and your whole life could be a spinal twist on your back, you might like to lay out on your side and then spiral it open towards the ceiling. Now here's where I would invite you, if you have done more movement during our practice today, I invite you to find some kind of stillness. Just getting that practice. If as you rest, you notice areas that could become a bit more comfortable. So maybe you want to create more space between heel and knee. Maybe the top shoulder really starts to get coming forward. The breath gets a little stifled. Roll that shoulder back a bit. Notice any squeezing to hold your legs or torso into position. Once you identify that, you could see if you could release that area. Could the floor and your props hold you here without fighting for it? Maybe you even visualize yourself here in the climate that you most prefer. If you're walking out of your home, you've stepped into that scene or that climate. What kind of breath do you take once you realize you're there? You walk outside, it's exactly the temperature, the scenery that you most want to be in. You're so eager to take it in. And so what do you do with your breath or with your body? Let yourself take in just the exact environment where you want to be. Maybe it's deeper breaths. Maybe a smile creeps across your face. Maybe you let your body get really expansive. I'm here. Maybe let yourself soften. Spend a few more moments here, a few more breaths. Maintaining that sense of ease, of wonder. Maybe there's relief. Maybe there's joy. When you're ready, we'll come out of deer pose from this side. So moving gently and slowly. Swinging that left leg around, shaking out the legs as you need to, maybe even twisting the body. Resetting yourself. Okay, getting ready for the other side. So let's take the right leg out to the side, bring the left sole of the foot into the right inner thigh. Then swing that right leg back. You need not pick the same expression on this side. Maybe on this side you fold forward or fold and twist. Maybe you extend that left arm out. My default is to put pillows under me, but sometimes just being on the floor is nice, and sometimes lifting my torso means I also want to lift my head. So I'm going to put a block under my head as well. You make it comfortable with the supplies that you have, with the body that you have. You can play with the expression again, separating heel and knee more or less. Stacking knees is another variation. Maybe visualize again your back in that spot. The place where you would live or vacation. The world as you most want it to be. It's your ideal temperature, ideal amount of sunlight. You're in the perfect footwear. The ground below you feels just like the place you want to be, whether that's sand or stone or trail, asphalt, grass, whatever it is. Notice what feelings come up. Do you feel energized? Do you feel soothed? Do you feel curious? At peace? Loving? Whatever it is. Could you gently shift your visualization now from that ultimate place to the space that you're currently in? And can you keep that same emotional response? Even with your eyes closed, could you visualize the living room or bedroom or closet or friend's space or family's space, wherever you are, basement? Could you visualize that space with the same relief or wonder, joy, enthusiasm? It's okay if the brain glitches and thinks, not here. No, I don't think so. That's okay. Just invite it back. Is there something here that you can go, ah, yes, that plant, that blanket, that pillow, that chair? What would it be like to breathe in the way I would breathe in my happiest place? Let me try that here. Yeah, because the work of yoga is not to get us ready for this ultimate vision of ourselves or our world. It's to get us ready for the world that we do live in, the spaces that we do inhabit, to live fully here where we are. Let's gently start to rise out of deer pose. I do want to do one more hip thing. So as you come up, we will do a brief pigeon pose, relatively brief. So you decide how you want to get into pigeon pose. You might take it on your back, cross ankle over thigh, figure four, or reclined pigeon. You might want to get right now into a down dog, lift the leg and then bring it through. Or you might just shift the shin. We'll start with the right side, shift the shin to the front of the mat, swing the left leg back. Pillows, blankets. Even out the hips. Notice if the right hip has come way forward of the left, see if you can slide it back. Fold in at your pace. As much as you want to fold. And just notice how the pose changes, how your body changes, your response changes for the next minute or two. In these moments of stillness, some options for your mental attention. Scanning the body, just checking in with each part, each joint area, each muscle area. Maybe you stick with that visualization of another place, and then shift your attention back to this place. Maybe you focus on the breath, even counting. Inhaling 1, exhaling 2. Going till a count of 10 and then starting over. You might also have a phrase that's useful for you to repeat mentally. My go-to tends to be I am here. You might have another phrase that works for you. Take a few more breaths in pigeon on this side. Decide your path out and onto the other side. That might mean coming to your seat, coming to down dog, rolling onto your back. Move slowly and with intention, following your path. We'll switch to the left side. No obligation for it to look like the right side. Again, slowing down. Moving at a pace that's maybe a little more gentle and how you've spent other parts of your day. If you notice the left hip far forward of the right, you can adjust right hip a little further forward. Relax eyebrows, nostrils, cheekbones, mouth, jaw, tongue, neck, shoulders, arms, fingers, chest, belly, hips, glutes, top of leg, bottom of leg, ankles, and toes. Resting softly here. And take a few more breaths. Plan your path from half pigeon onto your back entirely. Move slow, there's no rush. Keep this gentle pace of breath and movement. Have anything nearby that you'll want to use for your final Shavasana. So if you want to have a blanket or towel or pillow. As you come to your back, bring knees to chest. Rock side to side. And let's take another moment or so just to soothe the low back. You can stay right here. You can lift your legs to the ceiling, or you might do a brief supported bridge pose, feet on the floor, heels to hips. Lift the hips, slide something underneath. Let the hips rest. You can even do this hips flat on the floor. Just keeping a neutral spine. That gentle pressure of gravity in the low back. And if legs are up, you might play a straddle, or one leg in, other leg in. You can find movement. Just find something here that gets your low back supported on the floor. Maybe even a gentle massage as it's there. Happy baby is another option. Okay, if you've got that Supported bridge pose. Go ahead and bring your feet back down. Lift the hips, slide your item out of the way. And again, a final chance. Maybe windshield wiper the knees side to side. Again, legs go up the wall, happy baby. If there are other poses you'd like to take before you end, feel free. When you're ready, find yourself in your final resting place. You might do a towel under the knees or under the neck. Maybe a blanket over you. Take up lots of space. We'll spend a few moments here, no obligation to think, feel, do anything. Just total rest. You're welcome to stay here, and I will end the call in just a couple minutes. If you'd like to be guided out, first move the breath. Then a little movement to the body, then a little more movement to the body. Maybe you slowly move up to seated to close your practice from seated. Wherever you've landed, I invite you to take one more very large, very full breath. Again, we do this not just to get us ready for the world that we want, but to help us be in the world that we're in. Thank you so much for practicing with me tonight. It's nice to be back in Minnesota with all of you, even though we're not in the same physical space yet. I'll be back next Sunday. Take care of yourselves, drink lots of water, and we'll see you then. Thank you.